Is everyone able to see the agenda packet?
No.
No, now we can.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready to go live when you are.
Thank you very much. I'm ready to go.
And what happened?
Okay, we're broadcasting.
Thank you so much. Welcome all of our visitors who are joining us. The time is now 5:33. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, proceed the roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Here.
Vice Mayor Bennett. I know she stated that she would be late this evening. Counselor Randolph,
Here.
Counselor Holloway,
Here.
Counselor Parton,
Here.
Counselor Denton,
Here.
Counselor Pelham.
Here.
Thank you so much. We have a quorum. Would anyone like to make a motion to go into closed meeting?
I can't see it.
I make a motion, we go into closed session. Move into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code sections 2.23711A1 to discuss and consider personnel matters, including the appointment, assignment, and performance of specific appointees and employees, and consideration, discussion of prospective candidates for appointment to the school board. A3, oops, sorry, I have to read this, so it's hard to go back and forth. To discuss, consider the candidates for appointment. A3, investment of public funds where competition and bargaining is involved, and discuss in open meeting would adversely affect the city's beginning position and financial interest. A8, for consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice of such counsel, and to the extent that it should be that such matters will be aided thereby. A4, for the protection of the individuals in personal matters not related to public business.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Counselor Randolph and seconded by Counselor Denton. It's before council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
I'll be recusing myself from this since my sister is a candidate for the school board and poses a potential conflict of interest.
Thank you, Counselor Parton. You're excused from this portion of the meeting on the record. Council will break and go into the other closed meeting platform like we did previously. Madam Clerk, I will contact you to let you know when to bring in the first applicant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, nobody ain't dressed up to be sitting in no car, did it? Ain't nobody dressed up to sit in the car, did it?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that your dog, Jasmine?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
That's your dog barking outside?
Yep, he's outside and the neighbor's dogs came out, so he's not happy. Counselor Holloway, I believe you're on the line now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I see Benton, Randolph, Holloway, Parton. I think everyone is here.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just indicated that an agreement can go on the consent agenda. And I'm not sure, I don't have the agreement in front of me. There's any language that authorizes execution. And because I don't have that in front of me to know for sure, a council needs to not put it on the consent agenda, but approve the agreement and expressly give the city manager authority to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the agreement and its terms.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm ready to share the screen whenever, okay. Thank you very much for that.
Hmm. What happened to that?
Dr. Menker, are we still streaming live or is it paused?
When you're ready, I'll unpause it.
Okay. I'm ready now whenever you are.
Okay, we're broadcasting live.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us for our regular city council meeting. Time is now 7:47. We'd like to come out of closed session to be able to take action and do the rest of our meeting this evening. Someone like to move to come out of closed session?
I move that we come out of closed session.
Thank you. The motion's been made by Councilor Parton and seconded by Councilor Denton. It's now before council. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, please, Madam Clerk. And I actually do not see her on the line. I think she may have dropped off.
Who,
So
me?
one moment. For Ms. Brown, I think she may have dropped off of the line temporarily. So Madam Attorney, do you mind taking the tally for us until she is able to join back in?
Yes, ma'am, I don't mind. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Randolph, this is to come out of closed session.
Okay, was there a motion and a second to come out?
Yes, ma'am. That was made by Councilor Parton and seconded by Councilor Denton.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, well, just in nick of time. How are you, Ms. Brown? All right, so you have the motion made by Councilor Parton, seconded by Councilor Denton. Thank you, Ms. Robinson, for that support. You can proceed with roll call, Ms. Brown.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Councilor Denton,
Yes.
Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett, Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you proceed with the certification, please?
Certification pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3712D, where only public business matters, 1, lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, and 2, identified in the closed meeting motion discussed in closed meeting. Mayor Gore,
Yes. Yes.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Thank you very much. According to our conversation in closed session and referring to what the city attorney just advised council as to the correction, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the consent agenda.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, so I'm going, just to provide council with clarity. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Go ahead.
The motion that we need is to move to approve the purchase and development agreement and authorize the city manager to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the terms and conditions.
Right, in the consent agenda, correct?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed that. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's been made by Councilor Randolph. And Ms. Brown, I know that you are taking notes, so were you able to capture that, or do we need for it to be stated again for you?
Yes, can it please be stated again?
Yes, ma'am.
Move to approve the purchase and development agreement and authorize the city manager to execute it and execute any document necessary to effectuate its terms and conditions.
Email it to her.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Councilor Pelham, please. Okay, the motion has been made and second. Now it's before council. Is there any discussion?
Who do you give the credit to second it with?
Yes, Ms. Robinson?
I thought I lowered my hand. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Thank you.
All right, there's no discussion on the floor. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
No.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk, by my tally, the motion passes, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. We're now going to move on to our regular meeting. The time is now 7:53. I'd like to bring that meeting to order and welcome all of our visitors. For those who are watching remotely, thank you for taking the time out to join us this evening. And for those who are going back to watch this recording, you can watch it live on the city's YouTube page and also on our council live on our council page. It will direct you to the video stream. At this time, I'd like to have the prayer by Mr. Herbert Bragg, Director of Intergovernmental and Public Affairs, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States flag, led by me. Mr. Bragg? And Mr. Bragg, while you are getting situated, just remember to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let us pray. Almighty God, creator of the heavens and the earth, who spoke nations into existence, Lord, there are many instances in the scriptures whereby you heal all manner of sickness and disease. Life is such a precious gift, and I thank you for your grace and tender mercy. I pray, oh Lord, for healing in the midst of this global spread of coronavirus, that we may experience your healing love. Heal those that are sick with the virus and any other disease that may inflict their body. May they regain health and strength. Heal us from our fears, from our pride, which prevents neighbors from helping one another. Gracious Lord, healer of all, stay by our side in this time of uncertainty and sorrow. Be with our leaders. Give them the strength, the foresight to act with prudence and charity for the well-being of the people they are meant to serve and represent. I pray for this city council, the city of Hopewell, and the United States of America. Lord, it's in your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, please unmute your lines. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to amending or adopting the regular meeting agenda. Would someone like to make a motion?
Yes, my hand is raised. I would
Yes.
like to amend the agenda to move R2, which is the ordinance increasing courthouse security fee, after the public hearing and prior to the unfinished business, due to the fact that it is a time-sensitive subject and we need to take care of it tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Denton, from my end, you went out just a little bit. All I heard was move R2, which is the ordinance to increasing court fees, and then I didn't hear the rest of it.
Ms. Brown, you need me to say that again?
No, ma'am, I got it. To amend the agenda to move R2 after the public hearing and prior to unfinished business due to it being a time-sensitive item.
Right. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Councilor Denton, seconded by Vice Mayor Bennett. Is there any other discussion? Okay. Those joining by phone, silence is okay if you don't have anything to share. Okay, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Councilor Denton,
Yes.
Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Councilor Randolph,
Yes.
Councilor Holloway,
Yes.
Councilor Parton.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. The agenda will be adjusted.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I just want to clarify what time our 3 hours runs out. Madam City Attorney, starts at 5:30?
When the meeting starts at 5:30, the meeting will end at 8:30 pursuant to your limitation of 3 hours, unless, of course, that rule is suspended and the council decides to extend the meeting.
So before we get started, I'd like to make a motion. Because it's 8 o'clock now. We got a lot to go through, so I'd like to make a motion if possible, Madam Mayor,
Yes, can you have your motion?
to extend the meeting to 9:30. So that we have a little bit more time than what we've got right now. So just to extend the meeting to 9:30.
Second.
Matt, to support you. Motion's been made by Counselor Randolph, seconded by Mayor Gore to extend the meeting to 9:30. Is there any discussion? Okay. Those joining by phone? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to amend or adopt the consent agenda? And I would like to pull out C7, please, for discussion. Is there a motion to amend or adopt the agenda? Amend the consent agenda, and I've asked to pull out C7 for discussion. Would anyone like to make a motion to adopt or amend the consent agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Double.
Thank you. The motion's been made by Counselor Denton and seconded by Counselor Pelham. And for discussion for C7, Madam Attorney, do you want me to wait until after the roll call for this, since I pulled out our C7, or is it proper for me to talk about it now if okay with council?
Generally, when you take something off the consent agenda for discussion, it is assigned a position on the agenda. In this case, it would be in the R items, unless there's an agreement for it to be taken up at another location in the agenda, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm fine with it being the last R item. So it would be R7. We'll be discussing public hearings. So the motion on the floor is to approve the consent agenda minus C7. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to our public hearing for this evening.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we not have to vote now to put it on R7?
Well,
When it's
we
pulled
are-
out, Ms. Robinson, you can answer her question, please. But when it's pulled out, I was going to provide comments, but she's correct. And when we pull it out, it goes to the agenda. Ms. Robinson?
Well, there is a right to take something out of the consent agenda to discuss. And so since she rolled it to the last one, I would assume there's general consent for that. If a formal vote is required to put it last, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm fine with that. I just didn't know if we had to vote to put it on there.
I think a vote would be appropriate if there was a decision or desire to place it up further in the order of business.
Okay.
But the last item, I'm presuming there is general consent, and maybe just for the future, if we could just say if there's no objection, I'll put it, at the end, and then we can kind of proceed on the presumption that if there's a problem and a vote is needed, then the objection needs to be stated.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is everyone on the same page? Or is there any other comments regarding that?
people hear them? I'm having trouble hearing.
Okay, Counselor Denton, I'll speak a little bit louder. I was just asking, is everyone on the same page before we move forward? Or is there any other comments or questions regarding that topic?
So what is the motion, or you just?
I was just making sure we were all good before I go to public hearings, because that's the next item. I'm just gonna go forward to public hearings because it was Councilman, I've had a question, it was addressed. So we'll move forward to public hearings. If there's a concern, just let me know or message me in the chat and I'll go back and address it. We're moving on to public hearings. We have a public hearing tonight for the appointment of the school board members. Councilor Denton, are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to defer to the city clerk to read the issue tonight, since the clerk's office assists the council with the appointments. And then after she reads the issue statement, to provide city council with the updated list of applicants. As many of you are aware, we're eligible to take applications up until the closing of the public hearing, and there has been some additions. So Madam Clerk, please proceed to address the issue for public hearing number 1 and then provide the updated list of applicants. And Councilor Pelham, I do see your hand raised. Do you have a point of order or question?
So she will read the new names that we interviewed tonight.
Yes, that's what I just asked her to do.
Okay, and thank you.
Madam Brown, Ms. Brown. Sorry.
Pursuant to Virginia Code 22.1-29.1, public hearing before appointment of school board members, a public hearing is required to receive public comments regarding the nominees for appointment to the school board prior to council making the appointment. There are 2 positions which will expire June 30th, 2020, and which will need to be filled. The applicants for these positions are Dr. Deborah Marks, Ruth Johnson, Linda Heislip, Allison Parton, Susan Temple, Shannon Foskey, Dreama Collins Williamson, Heather Bennett. Sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you for catching that. Everyone in council, that was the full list of applicants to include.
Mayor Gore, you're fading out again.
That included the full list of applicants to include the latest applications we received yesterday evening.
She's breaking up bad.
Am I still breaking up?
Yes, ma'am.
I hear you fine.
Okay, well, I'll use my phone to do another portion of this. Is anyone else having trouble hearing me?
Better right now.
Okay. The clerk just read off the full list of applicants that we currently have on file for the school board. So we are going to open the public hearing to receive any other comments or nominations. Time is 8:07. The public hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, did you receive any feedback regarding the school board applicants or any additional nominations?
I did not receive any additional comments or nominations, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the administrative staff, be it the city attorney or the city manager, receive any comments regarding the school board public hearing?
No, ma'am, Madam Mayor.
Same for me, Madam Mayor. This is the city attorney.
Thank you so much. Short of that, we don't have any comments regarding the applicants before us. The time is 8:08 and I'm closing the public hearing. The list provided to the public are all the applicants that City Council will be considering for appointment to the school board. I believe at this point we have to vote to accept the full slate of nominations.
I make a motion that we close nominations for school board nominees.
Second.
A motion has been made by Councilor Denton, seconded by Councilor Pelham. Madam Attorney, is that motion sufficient or should we read the names into the record again?
I don't think it's necessary to read the names in the record. That was done by the clerk prior to closing the public hearing, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion?
I just want to quickly state that I won't be participating in this vote and that I'll be recusing myself as my sister is one of the applicants.
Thank you very much, Councilor Parton. Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk. And Ms. Brown, your line is muted.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway.
Yes.
Moving on to unfinished business. UB1, IT policies.
R2, Madam
Madam,
Mayor.
yeah, Madam
I'm
Mayor,
sorry,
R2.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Let me scroll down. R2 is the courts ordinance increasing court service fees from $10 to $20. Mr. Altman.
Pardon me, Madam Mayor, members of council, in your agenda packet this evening, you have an ordinance prepared by the city attorney to increase our courthouse security fee from $10 to $20. The change would be effective July 1. The request was submitted by the Court of the Circuit Circuit Court clerk, pursuant to a Virginia Supreme Court directive. And I will say I also received an email with the same request from the clerk of the General District Court. There is a copy of the ordinance in your packet. I think it's pretty cut and dry. We're just changing the word 10 to 20 and the number $10 to $20 to increase our courthouse fee. Happy to entertain any questions and would defer any comment regarding the ordinance to the city attorney.
Councilor Pelham.
How would that affect their budgets that they submitted to us anyway?
Well, at this point, it would just affect the revenue that we would collect. So we would have, if they wanted to spend any of it, we would have to make the collection and then make the request to be able to spend the funds. But we don't know what that would look like at this point in time, because that's just going to be based on, in any case, it's going to be, even at $10, it fluctuates based on the number of cases that they have during the year. So
onto the general fund, it doesn't go into something different.
These are specifically used for courthouse security. So I think there's an actual line in the budget for courthouse security.
We don't have to do anything else to that budget, increase it or lower it.
No, ma'am, not at this point in time.
Thank you.
Any other questions from those joining us via Zoom? I don't see any hands raised. Okay, those joining us by phone. Okay, Mr. Altman, I do have one question regarding the Supreme Court directive. Was that sent out to council? And if so, I overlooked the email. Just want to make sure we received that directive, because I did look for something to see what was actually handed down.
I did not. I'd have to go back and look at my emails. I'm not sure if I received the Supreme Court directive. I just know we were contacted by both clerks indicating that the fee had been increased. So I can look for it and send you a copy.
Okay, Ms. Robinson.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I can answer that question. I think the circuit court clerk indicated that the clerks had been advised of this directive through a seminar or some kind of training program through the Virginia Supreme Court. So there was no direct communication with the localities. Instead, the communications was with the clerks of the court.
Thank you. So the Supreme Court is mandating that all localities go up to $20 for court fees?
Based on my understanding, yes, ma'am. And so in order for our clerk to change her software and get her systems programmed accordingly, we needed to change our ordinance because we imposed those fees by ordinance.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Counselor Pelham?
So we don't have to have anything in writing from the state? Madam Attorney?
The ordinance amendment was drafted on the representation by the clerk and the presumption that, that was acceptable. I'm sure that if we needed something additional for our files, we can possibly get it. But the drafting was done on her representation of what they had been advised by the Supreme Court directly to them as opposed to the locality.
I mean, I'm not questioning her training or whatever, but I mean, as an official body, can we really do that without any type of backup? So when the auditors come and they see that we passed this ordinance for whatever, would they ask for the backup paperwork? What will we have? An email that says that this was authorized by the Supreme Court, or should we have a different document?
Well, the ordinance will act as the authority for collecting the funds. So if you're looking at what is going to be necessary to append to the action form, as I said, I'm happy to reach out to get additional documentation, but with respect to how it's treated by the auditors without that being there, I don't think there will be a legal problem if there's an ordinance. I think the problem would be if we were collecting monies and we couldn't point to something that justified that collection. But right now it's going to be sourced to the actual the ordinance itself. But I'm happy to reach out to her. I just wanted to explain that I had not come into any possession of something direct from the Virginia Supreme Court directing or otherwise authorizing the locality to increase the fees. This was a representation that was made and upon which I acted.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Thank you, Councilor Palm. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay. There is a motion on the floor. Madam Clerk, correct?
No, ma'am, there's no motion on the floor at this time.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion for this?
Sure. I move that we well, let's see, how do I want to put this? That we approve the ordinance increasing the courthouse security fee from, what is it, $10? Is it 20? What is it? I don't see it on the screen here. Wait a minute.
20.
From $10 to $20.
Second.
Thank you very much. The motion's been made by Councilor Denton and seconded by Councilor Parton. It's now before council. Mr. Altman.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. Just looking back at an email that we received from Ms. Ward, the clerk of the circuit court, indicating that effective July 1, the courthouse security fee would be increased from $10 to $20. of section 53.1-120 of the state code. So I'm assuming that's probably the result of an action during the General Assembly session this year.
Can you look it up and tell us?
Well, the current code section still says $10, and I was going to try to find the bill real quick, but the current code section hasn't been changed since it's effective July 1.
Okay, we're officially in discussion. We had questions earlier, so I think we're waiting for Mr. Altman to provide that bill information for Councilor Pelham. In the meantime, does anyone else have any discussion points? Councilor Randolph?
Should our motion include that
Yeah.
state bill ordinance number as a reference? If he finds the bill.
I'm sure it can be added to it. It doesn't hurt since we don't have the documentation, but Councilor Denton and I believe Councilor Parton are the ones with the motion. So you have to ask Councilor Denton. And Ms. Robinson has something to share.
The current language of the ordinance, if you look at it, already references that the enabling statute from the Virginia Code.
Okay.
So it starts out pursuant to Code of Virginia, Section 53.1-120D. There shall be assessed against convicted defendants in all criminal and traffic cases in the city, in the city's district and circuit courts, a fee of $10, which shall be added as costs collected by the clerks of the respective courts, remitted to the treasurer, and held by the treasurer, subject to appropriation by the city council to the sheriff's office for funding of the courthouse security personnel, and if requested by the sheriff, equipment and other personal property used in connection with courthouse security. And the reference to $10 would be changed to $20 pursuant to this request for an amendment.
Thank you.
Ms. Robinson, could you give me that code again, the section and paragraph?
Yes, ma'am. It's section 53.1-120 paragraph or subparagraph D. You can see it if you look at the screen, Madam Counselor. It's the first clause in the section 2-1 of our city code.
Looking at the screen. Okay.
So, and if you look at that sample on the screen, that's the verbatim text of our current code, except for what is done in red text.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, Madam Clerk, can you just insert that paragraph 50, section 53.1-120, parentheses D, as part of my motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm fine with that as well.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Altman, is there any luck before we proceed?
I have found it was Senate Bill 149 that increased the language from $10 to $20. Senate Bill 149.
Thank you. That's all we need.
Okay. Any other discussion before we proceed? And I'm assuming Councilor Denton and Madam Attorney, the hands raised are from prior requests?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone joining by phone? Do you have anything to share? Okay. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Gore.
No.
Councilor Denton.
Yes.
Councilor Pelham.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett.
Yes.
Councilor Randolph.
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now we'll proceed to unfinished business. UB1 is IT policies. We discussed this 2 times on prior agendas. I'll keep this short. I requested council to look into to adopt the policies due to the fact that council discussed this in a prior meeting, and it was a directive for IT department to create these policies. They have been signed off by the city manager back, I believe, in March of this year. So now we just need for council to support them so they can be citywide policies and take effect officially. The only topic that I have left that we did not iron out was some concerns regarding section, I think it's 4.4 in regards to the loss or stolen aspect of it. By now, I hope many people have taken the time out to get their questions resolved on this matter, or if not, I advocate that council tailor their responses or comments to the sections that just need to be resolved so that this can be passed. I don't really have anything else because for the sake of time, to ensure that we get this resolved. Madam Brown, I keep calling you Madam Brown. Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. There is actually a motion still on the floor for this item.
Can you please repeat the motion for everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Bennett made the motion to give the city manager full authority to adopt, amend, or change the policy as needed, and it was seconded by Counselor Parton.
And do you have the tally of how many people who spoke for how many times?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So I have Counselor Randolph speaking once, Counselor Denton speaking twice, and Counselor Pelham speaking once.
Thank you very much for that. So everyone is clear about the motion on the floor, so we'll proceed with discussion. I believe Counselor Denton had her hand raised, but now it's been removed. I want to make sure that's on purpose.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay, Counselor Pelham.
Question, city manager, on that 4.4. So are you saying that if like every employee leaves us or get fired or decide to resign or whatever, and they lose their computer, that the city is going to automatically replace it and not worry about retrieving the money from a lost computer?
So I'm sorry, Madam, Ms. Pelham, did you say 4.4? You broke up a little bit when you first started talking.
Policy 4.4. So anyone that loses a computer, all I gotta do says I lost my computer, and then the city will have to reimburse, will pay for another one without any accountability or consequence to that person that lost it.
So there's, with the way the section reads, it has the department head can hold their employee responsible. So while the city may replace the computer or with the cost, there could be disciplinary action taken by the department head against the city employee for the loss of the computer. So that's an option that is there, but the way it's written now, it doesn't say that it's explicitly that the employee will be held responsible. Now, in the case of it, which you mentioned earlier, if an employee leaves our service, we collect the computer from them. If they do not give it to us, we would dock the cost of the computer if they weren't going to return, they didn't return it, from their final paycheck or any PTO payout that we may have.
You know, I don't like the words probable because that is not definitive, because you do it for some and not others. The other thing is when you leave it into the department heads, it needs to be a standard to me. So if every person that leave and never is held accountable to pay for a laptop or computer, but then some other department decides, I'm gonna charge everybody. I think that's inconsistent as a city council for us to allow that to happen. So it needs to be a policy that every department employ the same policy. You can't leave it up to 10 department heads to have 10 different policies without discrimination or whatever potentially to be claimed by someone that's in recreation versus someone in wastewater. So leaving that in the hands of a department head, and it's not your decision right now, but I would ask that the persons who made the motion, we have to have something standard across the board so that every department is doing the same thing. Either investigate or hold them liable for it or whatever, but I don't see how you can have 10 different department policies and make that a wholesome policy for the whole city. That's what I think. If it doesn't get changed, and I just will object to passing that type policy. It's just not consistent at all.
Thank you very much. Councilor Denton, you still have your hand raised.
I'm sorry, I don't want it raised.
Okay, Councilor Randolph.
I wholeheartedly agree with Ms. Councilor Pelham. I think that the the cost of this equipment and how often it can or does go lost is important, and I think consistency is just as important. And I agree that I don't want all the department managers making different decisions. There should be one process for lost or stolen items for every employee in this city, and it should be consistently held, whether they're part-time, whether they're full-time, or whatever. So other than that, I like the motion that's made. I just think we need harder, stricter, and more across the board systematic policy for everyone to follow. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much. For those joining us via Zoom, I don't see any other hands raised at this moment.
So can I make a motion?
One moment. I mean, you can, but I was just, can I please check with those on the phone to make sure, since they don't have the ability to raise their hand. Those joining by phone.
I would like to say something in reference to the consistency also. When we're developing policies, there should be straight across consistency in reference to all policies. So I think that in reference to this policy in IT, I agree with Ms. Pelham and Councilor Randolph.
Thank you very much, Councilor Holloway. Councilor Pelham.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Councilor Pelham. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
To pass the policy is the motion extracting section 4.4 with the city manager coming back with some additional rewording that's acceptable to hold all employees accountable for loss of stolen property.
Councilor Pelham is requesting to make a substitute motion, and she stated it. Is there a second? I'm sorry, I'll second that. The motion's been made by Councilor Pelham, seconded by Councilor Holloway. It's now before council to allow her to be able to make a substitute motion. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
No.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
No.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Motion passes. Counselor Pelham, you've already stated your motion, so I'll ask the clerk to please.
I need her to repeat it. She said it way too fast.
Okay.
To accept the IT policy, except extracting section 4.4 until brought back to us with rewording for accountability across the board of all departments. Basically, the department heads would do the same thing in the case of loss of stolen property.
Okay, so you said report back with,
The rewording of that section,
okay.
and we can approve it at that time, whatever.
So Ms. Brown, can you please restate it to make sure we're all on the same page?
Yes, I have accept the IT policy extracting section 4.4 and report back to council with rewording of that section.
Second. So the motion's been made by Councilor Pelham, seconded by Mayor Gore. We're now in discussion on this current motion.
My
And then-
hand is raised this time.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, ma'am, go ahead. It is raised and Councilor Randolph is before you and then you have your hand raised. Councilor Randolph?
Thank you. Ms. Pelham, I cannot vote for your motion as it is. If you would consider the previous motion and then add your section 4 verbiage, then that's the motion I will pass.
The verbiage of saying every department do the same thing.
No, ma'am. The previous motion that was on the floor gave the city manager the authority to change the policy as needed, as stated in that motion that Councilor Bennett, Vice Mayor Bennett made. If your motion doesn't include that verbiage, then I can't vote for it. But I do want the section 4 to be rewritten to
But
be
do y'all know-
consistent.
Yeah, I mean, actually, y'all know that we're policymakers.
Yes, I make policy at work all the time.
I know, that's exactly right. But an overall policy that affects every employee, I mean, for this department or any other department, council should have an overall responsibility to approve that particular policy. But I mean, if that's,
I've got the floor and I'm just saying that if you don't include that, I can't vote for your motion. Sorry. Thank you. I'm through.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Denton?
Yes, I'd like to ask the city manager. Mr. Altman, is it your understanding, I know in the motion we're giving you the authority to do the policies and procedures of IT. Is that your understanding? And is there a reason that you have the 4.4 written like it is?
So my understanding of the motion is council's giving the manager the authority to make any amendments necessary to the IT policy after it's been adopted or approved or accepted, I think is what, well, I don't remember what Mrs. Bennett's language was, but Mrs. Pelham said accepted.
And point of information, just Mr. Altman, that I don't believe that's what Councilor Pelham's motion is. Her motion is to adopt it and then for you to come back with section 4.4. I don't believe she articulated with giving you the permission to adjust or amend it.
But so then we have to ask Mrs. Denton which motion she's talking about.
I'm talking about the motion that Ms. Bennett, the Vice Mayor Bennett, where she gave you the authority to do these policies and procedures. And you did those, and they were done in March, I believe, of this year. Is there a reason that 4.4 is like that? I mean, or do we really, can we even change them? Because we've given you the authority to do this. So is this a moot point?
Spent too much money this week.
So what I would say, and what I was going to say, to address both Councilor Pelham and Councilor Randolph's concern, is that council takes action, and let's assume for a moment you're taking action on Vice Mayor Bennett's motion. Then what we would do is we would come up with language to address that concern, make the amendment, and share that with council to address the concern with consistency across the board with regard to lost or stolen equipment.
Okay, so you don't have any problem with going back and looking at this 4.4 along with Vice Mayor Bennett's motion?
I don't have any issue with us looking at section 4.4, not at all.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no other hands raised for those in Zoom. For those joining via phone. Okay, since there are no hands raised, no other comments, I'll share my thoughts at this time. Just to provide the public with clarity, the reason why this is on here is because it's not a moot point. As the city attorney previously advised, unless council gives the city manager the authority to do this, it's not automatically granted. The reason why I've been pushing for this to be adopted is because it was signed in March, but council did not authorize the policy to take place. So that is why there's a vote that needs to be taken. And if I'm incorrect with Ms. Robinson's advice, then please correct me at any time. So if council wants to give the city manager the authority to initiate this policy officially, then we can do that tonight. And if you want to give him the authority to adjust it whenever he sees fit, you can do that tonight. But for a point of clarity, since we are the policymakers and all the power vested in the city lies on city council, we have to give him the ability to create a new policy that's citywide and to be able to take it effect and under these circumstances. So with that, I will share, I also agree with Councilor Pelham and Councilor Randolph. I believe that there needs to be a citywide procedure in regards to IT, and then also the use of equipment, which is why I'm advocating for this. Outside of that, since we spent 3 meetings now going back and forth regarding the authority to adjust policies when council is the policymaker, I will refer council back to an earlier agenda item that I had on last year when I asked for council to allow the legislative committee to go through city policies and to annotate which ones were operations and which ones were citywide policies. And then from there, we can determine which standard language needs to be included in policies, so we do not need to come back to have these approved properly. And so that was something we never addressed. So at this point, I'm asking for that to be on the next regular meeting agenda to have that conversation. I did talk to Ms. Robinson and Mr. Altman about that offline to figure out some suggestions in regards to how to do that. And there's different options on the table. So just throwing that out there, we do need to do this because since I've been on council, there has not been a policy review at all regarding any policy in the city. And it's certainly outdated, especially as it relates to IT, finance, or anything that's critical for our city. And just as a reminder for everyone, I know the comments shifted towards Vice Mayor Bennett's motion, but that is not the motion on the floor. So I'll ask the clerk before we vote to restate the motion so everyone is on the same page. And so everyone is clear when they vote this evening. And as a reminder, we have to take action one way or another for this to actually be taken effect because it was signed prematurely. Councilor Pelham had her hand raised and it was lowered. So I don't know if she meant to do that on purpose. Counselor Pelham, your line is muted. Did you mean to lower your hand?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Denton, your hand. You already spoke a third time, but I think we're doing.
I
motion.
don't
You have
have
another
any,
comment?
I just want the motion restated.
Yes, ma'am, not a problem. It appears that there are no other comments during this time. So Madam Clerk, can you please restate the motion before roll call?
Yes, ma'am. The current motion on the floor is to accept the IT policy, extracting section 4.4, and report back to council with rewording of that section.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
No.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
No.
Counselor Randolph,
No.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
No.
Motion fails. So now we're going back to the original motion on the floor. Madam Clerk, can you please restate that for everyone?
Yes, ma'am. The motion is to give the city manager full authority to adopt, amend, or change the policy as needed.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
No.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
No.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
No.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. So Ms. Robinson, would Mr. Altman need to sign this policy to let it be reflective of this day when council authorized it? Or can he keep it with the March date?
He just got the authority today, so he'd have to sign it today unless council wants to ratify the signature effective his adoption March 5, 2020. And that's going to be a second action since it was not included in the original motion.
Okay, if they wanted to ratify the March date, but if they did not, then he just needs to sign it over with today's date, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Altman, is there any preference? If you're fine with just re-signing it, we can just move on.
And I guess my recommendation, if there's going to be changes made to that cover sheet, is to where it says originating office, to put city council.
Thank you. Thank you. So Mr. Altman, are you able to adjust the cover sheet and then just sign it for today's date since that's, you got the authority today, or would you like for us to retroactively take action?
Whatever is council's pleasure, we can make the change on the originating office without an issue.
Does anyone have any objection just signing it today so that way we can move forward? If there are objections, we can go through the process of taking action to retroactively approve it. Okay, there are no objections, so please just move forward with the new signature. I'm going to go back up to our packet. UB2 is the, excuse me, yes, Councilor Benton?
Yes, we're getting ready to do that one. I would like to make a motion to postpone the budget resolution of UB2 tonight until Thursday night, June the 25th, 2020, to allow council to conclude the items that we did not complete at the special meeting on June the 18th, 2020.
Second.
The motion is the motion made by Councilor Denton, seconded by Vice Mayor Bennett. Counselor Pelham?
Yeah, it's always my understanding that we had to have a budget in by June the 30th. Is that a statute, Madam Attorney, or is that just tradition?
No, ma'am, that's state law.
So that motion cannot be, I mean, you can pass, we can pass it, we can do anything, but I would recommend that motion not be withdrawn because of the statute. Budget has to be submitted by the state by June 30th. Can't go beyond June 30th.
You didn't say to.
But you said
Thank
July.
you. Counselor Pelham, you still have the floor. Did you have any other comments?
What it was there, what date did she give in her motion?
The 25th, which would be Thursday.
I'm calling a special meeting for Thursday to address this.
I know, but you said something about July too, didn't you?
No, I said that to conclude the items that we did not complete at our June 18th meeting.
Oh, not July 8th. Okay.
Not July, no. It's
Okay.
going fast enough.
Okay. Oh, I apologize. Thank you.
That's okay.
Anyone else have questions that are joining us via Zoom? Those joining us via phone? Okay, so the only feedback I have is, does council not want to share any thoughts during this time, since the budget is on the agenda and Mr. Altman could have provided us with any updates since it was already adopted on the agenda? If not, then that's fine. I'm just saying
I have my hand raised.
yes. So just, we do have it on here. If anyone has a comment, you can still do it at this time because it's technically on the agenda for discussion that was approved. Councilor Pelham?
Well, I would like to make a motion. It's a motion already on the floor, I know.
Yes, to postpone.
How can I make a motion to ensure that to ensure that the city manager places $30,000 into the legacy program and revive that program?
Point of order.
Yes, Councilor Denton, you have a point of order?
I mean, I made this motion, so we're not discussing the budget tonight. So I just want to go over the items that we did not finish last Thursday night. So I don't know how we can move on with the UB2 if I've made a motion to postpone it.
I'll refer to the city attorney for your answer. Councilor Pelham was trying to make a substitute motion, but I think when you have a motion to postpone, I don't know if that's possible. Ms. Robinson?
I didn't hear it as a motion to amend or substitute. If Counselor Pelham wants to repeat what she says, I'll look at it in the context of whether it is in fact a motion to postpone. But I think it would probably operate the same. So it's either postpone action tonight or postpone the action indefinitely. The latter would kill the underlying motion or action that council is being asked to take. So I would suggest that it's not being postponed indefinitely. And if it's postponed until such time as a date certain, then it might just be a restatement of the motion that was presented by Councilor Denton. So if I can hear that motion again, I'd be even better shape to opine on it, but it was not a motion to amend, nor was there any language saying it was a motion to substitute.
Okay, well, can't be postponed to indefinitely because we got to have a budget by the 30th. So that's needed on board. So I wanted a substitute motion, and in the consideration for postponement, that the city manager bring back to us inclusion in the budget to include $30,000 dollars to go toward the legacy program to small, I think it's the businesses in the community, whatever meets that legacy program for business leaders. They'll be postponed, but they'll bring that information back next Tuesday as well.
It's Thursday.
Thursday, thank you. Can that be done, Madam Attorney?
I'm listening to the motion and I might actually have to get some information to answer it just succinctly, but it sounds as if the motion may be premature because the budget is open for council's final actions before adoption. The recommendations that have been made in the resolutions are simply that, recommendations. At the last meeting on the budget, the city manager and the finance director indicated that you do not adopt a line item budget. And so if there's a program that has not been funded in this resolution, council can simply add that as a part of its consideration on Thursday. So
Okay, thank you. I withdraw my motion. I'll wait.
So Ms. Robinson, for clarity, all we have to do at this time is to state the items that we also want to be in consideration for Thursday, correct? Like Ms. Palm just did?
Sure. Again, the city manager has provided a budget resolution. I think some of the things that are reflected therein have resulted from the discussions that you've had over your several work sessions. However, under the law, the changes to the budget can be made right up until the time of adoption. And so if there's something that's omitted here that you want in, subject to the necessary votes by council, those things can be included. Similarly, things can be stricken up until the time the budget is adopted.
Thank you so much. Councilor Pelham, did you have any other comments? Because I also have points to add for discussion.
Me too, my hand's up.
I just want that part in there, that's all, right now.
I'm not clear.
Mr. Altman, are you taking notes for this for Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilor Randolph, do you want to share your points for discussion and then I'll go after you?
I would like a point of information from the city attorney first. I'm not sure I'm following. So if I remember Councilor Denton's motion, she indicate, can the city clerk read that motion again? And then I have a question based on the rereading of Councilor Denton's motion.
Yes, ma'am. The motion is to postpone the resolution, which is UB2, until the special meeting on June 25th to conclude the items that weren't completed at the June 18th meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And my point of information is this, is if Councilor Denton, it appears that she's postponing the resolution vote, but are you saying, Madam City Attorney, that we can still bring up issues and concerns during UB2 in order to take or have brought up or put in a new revised budget for Thursday night? Is that what you're saying, Madam City Attorney?
I think I understand your question, and to the extent that I understand it, the answer is yes. So the resolution is subject to your amendment on Thursday.
Okay, so if we vote on that, then UB2 is still open, because I'd like to go back to Thursday night's meeting and make a motion for the outside agencies that we never completed. I would be allowed to do that then?
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
and done in the appropriate way.
Yes, what you haven't, the resolution is your budget.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, and so until it's adopted, it's subject to be amended, and it's the charter and the state code says it's prepared and recommendations are made by the administrator, the city manager to the council. The council can increase or decrease expenditures as it sees fit, provided that there's sufficient appropriations or revenue to cover those expenditures. Those are the only general prohibitions or restrictions that you have to work with when you're considering the budget. So to the extent you feel that something was left undone or something needs to be changed, those changes can continue to be made or discussed up until the time council actually adopts that resolution.
I understand that. What I'm getting at is the agenda process. UB2 is about the operating and capital budget resolution, okay? If we vote to move that to Thursday, am I still following, or do I have to make a motion to amend the agenda to put new motions on about the agenda process of the budget?
Well, I don't know what your issues are when you say agenda
I wanna make sure that
processes.
I have a motion that I don't have, that it can still fall under UB2, even though a portion of that is, the main portion of it is getting moved to Thursday. I can still, like Ms. Pelham, who can make a motion for the legacy grant, I can make a motion, and those can all be contained under UB2, even though the resolution is moving to Thursday, without doing anything other than making a motion.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but I just
Yeah,
wanted to
I
be
mean,
clear.
I just, my yes is yes, I'm acknowledging, I'm hearing your question.
Yeah.
So provided what you want to make a motion about
Yes, ma'am.
is contained subject matter wise in this UB2, the operator capital budget resolution, my
Okay.
answer is yes.
Okay, cool. Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So Councilor Randolph, basically you want to make sure that we talk about outside agencies still on Thursday, correct?
No, ma'am, I want to make the motion to appropriate the following budget changes for outside agencies.
But don't we have to vote on my motion first?
Yes, the motion, when I first was asked to weigh in, it was relative to Councilor Pelham's motion. She has since withdrawn it. So the motion that's on the floor, I think seconded, is your motion, Madam Councilor
Right.
Denton.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
So we have to pass that one first. And then because I put in there to complete the items we did not get to last Thursday night, which is one of them is the outside agency. And point of information, Madam Attorney, I was thinking that because the resolution, the budget resolution is by departments, that if we're making changes to a line item, we can't do that at the same time that we're discussing the budget resolution, because that is done by departments.
Right.
Am I confused on that?
I'm just trying to connect that question to the motion that's on the floor. So,
Well, that was my reason really for this motion tonight, was to postpone it, because the ones we did not get to on Thursday night were line items. And we were going over the line items. And because I did not think that we could do that during a budget resolution discussion, that's the main reason I'm making this motion tonight.
yes, ma'am. So the reason for your motion, respectfully, doesn't really matter if council hasn't agreed to limit their consideration to just the reason that you stated. This matter is on for discussion where on tonight's agenda, wherever the discussion and the actions of council will lead, provided it's all within the confines of law. And when it gets moved to the 25th, the same limitations or lack thereof will equally apply, notwithstanding the reason you wanted to move it over to June 25.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
not really, but that's okay.
I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? The reason you cannot limit council's actions based on the reason you want to move it.
No, I was thinking because the budget resolution is done by departments and it is
Never
not
mind.
broken out by line items. We would have to, that's why we've been having these special meetings or to go through the line items so that we could do the resolution, which would incorporate all the changes. So we would know what amount to put in each department's budget.
Right. So, but unless you actually know what the motion is going to be from Councilor Pelham or Councilor Randolph, there's no way for that to be determined at this particular point in time. Similarly, if I take that information, what I would say is, well, if the resolution deals with appropriations to departments, given that the city manager and the finance director has indicated that there isn't a line item budget, and we have been in fact going through each of those departments line by line, there isn't really a substantive reason for the delay. So it's really just to sort of move this entire consideration to Thursday. Once you get to Thursday, depending on whatever the motion is, we can look at the actual construction of that motion to determine whether or not it's proper based on what's before council or proper based on the limitations that are imposed by statute. Right now, it's just, we're just moving it really to the 25th.
But I still want to go through these three tonight.
If you'd shut up, we could.
So I did state after Councilor Randolph, I did have my comments. I've been waiting for you all to finish your initial round. Councilor Denton, are you fine now so I can make my comments, please?
Certainly, go right ahead.
Thank you so much. So since the budget resolution has not been adopted and the budget is still open for discussion, the points that I was going to raise last week, we ran out of time, was, and Mr. Altman, you can just take notes for the topics. One, we did not revisit the schools. Number two, we did not revisit the rental inspection position. I asked for that information regarding the expenditures. We never talked about it after we got the information. Also, I asked to revisit Mr. Badiata's machine, the truck, to be able to address flooding and drainage problems. I did ask twice for council to consider a community grant program. I never got determination on that. I did also ask for information regarding the finance position, be it the munis person to help make sure that all of our financial modules, the systems are online, and or to help with onboarding. Whenever someone is hired, they can have someone help train them on the financial system given the audit reports. And then if that is not possible based off council's decision, then what was the feedback regarding giving the finance department additional support so we can get our audits caught up? That was a question that's been on prior city council agendas and we haven't gone through. I'm sorry, what was that?
I don't want to call a point of order, but we need to, what does that have to do with the motion on the floor?
So what it has to do with the motion on the floor is I'm talking about the budget resolution, and my point is like you and Councilor Pelham did. So I'm just providing my feedback. So the finance position, as I shared, was on a previous agenda, multiple agendas. We never got around to be able to have that conversation regarding what the additional manpower or support would be to help them get caught up. The last items that I have is council never finalized the miscellaneous and or travel budgets of staff. We've talked about them several times, but there has never been a motion to reduce those budget items as well. So right now, as it currently stands, what we have is essential and non-essential has not been acted on. The only budgets that have been reduced is councils and the clerks. And the last item I have is I would like to talk about the resolution itself, the verbiage, due to the messages council received today, to ensure that we have enough time to actually go through the authorities and the what's in the wording in the budget in terms of health insurance on the other items. So to put the resolution verbiage as an item because it has changed. And then for Mr. Altman, based off our conversation regarding the registrar's office and a potential increase in their leasing fees, to ensure that we have that money accounted for in the event that we do relocate the voter registrations office. Mr. Altman, do you have my points along with Councilor Pelham's and Councilor Randolph's?
I didn't have any points.
I'm sorry, Mr. Altman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Before I call on Councilor Randolph for her second round of questions, Councilor Parton, Vice Mayor Bennett, or Councilor Holloway, do you have anything to share?
I do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'll take. I don't think I heard anything other than Councilor Holloway. Thank you. So, Councilor Randolph.
I call for the vote.
Does anyone object to the call for the vote? There are no objections, so roll call, please, to limit discussion and call for the vote.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Councilor Denton,
All right, now what are we voting on? My motion, right?
Yes.
To postpone, okay, yes.
Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Councilor Randolph,
Yes.
Councilor Holloway,
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Parton.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. We're going to move on to.
No. I have my hand up.
Oh, there's no other item on the table for discussion. You have a point of order or point of information?
Point of order. I asked the city attorney if we voted on this, could I still talk about a motion? And I would like to make a motion.
Madam Counselor,
Yeah.
when I heard your question, I thought it was making motions once we got to the 25th. There's nothing that limits council, huh?
I kept asking you about if the motion was voted on, could I still make a motion?
Yeah.
And you said yes.
Yes, I said yes, and I'm telling you the context of my yes, which is I thought it was the motion on the 25th. That's why I kept repeating it to make sure I understood.
I kept repeating tonight.
Yeah,
we 25th.
Well,
So technically, the motion that just passed was to move what completed this item as it stands right now.
right.
Correct?
I would ask council to entertain amending so that I can make my motion due to the lack of understanding between the city attorney and I, because that was what I kept asking about, is if the motion was passed, could we still make motions on the floor? That's why I said during the discussion about her motion that I wanted to make this motion, but I was waiting till after the vote on that.
And my motion was to conclude the items that we did not complete. And there was a motion on the floor that night for outside agencies. And
I couldn't do that until we voted on her motion.
And I said,
yeah, and Councilor Randolph, just for everyone's clarification, technically speaking, and unless I'm wrong, Madam Attorney, please correct me. On Thursday, due to Councilor Denton's motion and her clear intention, we will address all the items on Thursday that were not closed out to include the outside agencies and the outside agency motion. Even if it did not include that in that motion, since the budget resolution has not been adopted, any member of council can bring up anything at any point in time regarding the budget, correct?
Yes, that is what I was communicating, and I apologize that there's a crosswire. And so to the extent council wants to entertain a motion that's associated with this, I guess it could, but the point I made was like, it was premature to deal with your motion or Councilor Pelham's motion outside of the context of a discussion on the resolution, which would be taken up on the 25th. So I apologize for misunderstanding. And I guess to the extent council wants to entertain a motion associated with an item we've just moved, it can.
So Councilor Randolph, are you fine with waiting until Thursday to complete your motion?
Nope, I would like the council to entertain my motion, which is from last Thursday and very succinct tonight in regards to the motion that just closed based on the misunderstanding, if possible.
All right, so council, if I understand Ms. Robinson correctly, if council would need to vote, if we would like to entertain Councilor Randolph's motion tonight regarding outside agencies as opposed to waiting until Thursday. So I guess this would be a roll call for permission to entertain the motion, correct, Ms. Robinson?
If
to
you
revisit
can,
the item.
Again, it's as formal as the council wants it to be. If there is a general consensus that it's okay based on the documented misunderstanding between Councilor Randolph and I, you shouldn't need that motion. You could just say, go ahead and state your motion and let it be voted up or down. But I'll just defer to the chair as to how you want to handle it for the record.
Yeah, I would prefer a roll call, especially after I just heard Councilor Denton's remarks. I think she reiterated the fact that she included that in her motion. So as we'd like the roll call, just to be clear, so, to allow Councilor Randolph to be able to make this motion, please proceed, Ms. Brown.
Mayor Gore,
No.
Councilor Denton,
Yes.
Councilor Pelham, your line's muted, Councilor Pelham.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Councilor Randolph,
Yes.
Councilor Holloway,
Yes.
Councilor Parton.
Yes.
Okay. So just for clarity, I thought that
Can I ask a point of information?
Yes, but one moment. I have to ask you a question for point of information to you. I thought that you just strongly stated that you wanted to wait until have this conversation on Thursday. That's why I voted no, but you just voted yes. So I'm unclear as to what you wanted to happen. I was trying to support you.
The motion that I made, and I've lost everybody. I don't know what happened. Wait a minute. Okay. The motion that I made was to postpone the actual voting for the resolution tonight, to allow us to finish what we wanted to do on
Vote just did that.
on Thursday night. And I've got it, and I put to allow council to conclude. So my motion didn't say wait for Thursday night. It said I was postponing the vote on the budget so we could conclude the item that we wanted to get on for last Thursday night. So I don't know how plainer that has to be.
Okay, so if I understand you now, then quite frankly, this whole conversation was a waste of time. And the reason why I say that is because the item on here was to discuss the budget. So at any point in time after Mr. Altman did his presentation, anyone could have asked for anything to be passed or supported. And that's the whole purpose of this item on the agenda. You don't have to make a motion to adopt the resolution at this time if we don't choose to. So
but I
we
wanted
could have
to
just, we could have, Counselor Dan, I'll let you finish. So we could have just had the discussion about the budget, as I alluded to early on, minus this whole 30-minute conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so
If you
Counselor
remember
Randolph,
correctly, I haven't given up. Bear with me.
The vote allows me to do this. Come on.
I know that's what I said. Counselor Randolph, go ahead, please.
I would like to make a motion to appropriate the following budget changes only to the outside agency requests. And there are only five of them. Richard Bland, 2,500. Part 15,000. Historic Hopewell, 10,000. Downtown Partnership, 35,000. The Beacon Theater, 170,000. Those are the amounts from that changed. Gateway will change, not because we're voting on it, but because they gave us a half off because of COVID, and Gateway will change to $22,310. Do you need me to repeat that, Mrs. Brown? I mean, God, Madam Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't catch the last two.
Okay, so you've got Historic Hopewell at 10,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Downtown Partnership, 35,000. Beacon Theater, 170,000. And the Gateway will be 22,310 based on their giving us money.
Okay, thank you.
I believe the motion's been made by Counselor Randolph and seconded
I can't hear you.
I believe the motion's been made by Counselor Randolph and seconded by Counselor Denton.
We can't hear you.
Motion's made by Randolph, seconded by Counselor Denton. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in discussion unless we have, we're in discussion. Anyone have anything to comment on this particular motion? I see both hand raised for Counselor Denton and Randolph. I'm just assuming it's the old hand, so I'll keep moving. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gore,
No.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
No.
Vice Mayor Bennett, Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
No.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett was, you said yes? Okay, thank you. Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Are we done with this item so we can move on? Or is everyone on the same page?
Yeah. Now, I would like to make a motion.
Well, I had
Okay, go ahead, Council. Randolph.
922.
So I'll just remind everyone to please use your hand symbol instead of just speaking out loud, because I'm trying to track everyone and it's kind of hard when people are just speaking. So I just asked if everyone was on the same page so we can move on to the other items on the agenda. I see 2 hands raised. I will definitely call on you. Just for a point of reference, R3 is time sensitive as well as R4, and we are running on 7 minutes. R3 is regarding the ongoing investigation, and then R4 is regarding COVID-19 testing, and we need some guidance on both of those items. Counselor Randolph?
I wanted to make another motion to change the funding for the EDA from 38,000 to 20,000.
Second.
Oh, my goodness.
Motion is made by Counselor Randolph. Can you restate it, please, Madam Clerk?
To change the funding of the EDA from 38,000 to 20,000.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're in discussion now. And I see several hands raised. So, Counselor Randolph, I know your hand is for when you had the floor.
No, it's not.
It's for a new one?
Yeah, it's just to explain.
Okay, go ahead.
I made this motion because if we're going to cut the downtown partnership and other organizations, then we need to be fair across the board and do the same for the EDA as we did with the downtown partnership and cut their budget. That's it. Thank you.
I thought it because you were off.
Thank you.
No,
Counselor
Yes, it is.
no, it's not.
Counselor Denton,
Oh, my hand's up.
I see your hands up. Her hand's up as well. Counselor Denton?
You done talked 2 times before I talked.
Yes, but it was a different motion. Now we have a new motion on the floor. And her hand was up before your hand was up on this current motion.
Okay.
Counselor Denton, going third time.
I'm sorry. I was going to try and make a motion.
No, I've got a motion on the floor.
Oh, you've got one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, Counselor Pelham.
I have to wait for you on this motion to make my motion. Does everybody make a motion?
Okay, is there any other comments or discussion on the current motion on the floor? Those joining by Zoom, I see Counselor Dunn, you have your hand raised, but I'm just assuming it's the same hand. Those joining by audio. Okay, Madam Clerk, please restate the motion and then proceed with roll call.
The current motion on the floor is to change the funding of the EDA from 38,000 to 20,000. Mayor Gore,
No.
Counselor Denton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
No.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
No.
Counselor Parton.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Counselor Pelham, you said that you had a motion to make, so you're next.
Yes, the motion is to, excuse me. Oh, to add the $30,000 in the legacy grant program to all the changes that everybody else has made, make it in the form of a motion.
Second. Motion on the floor to add $30,000 to a legacy grant for businesses. Motion's been made by Counselor Pelham, seconded by Mayor Gore. So for council for discussion, I'll add discussion first, please. Again, as a reminder, time is 9:27. We have 2 pressing items that have been held off for 3 meetings. One for the investigation to contact the Attorney General's office, and the second one is for COVID-19 testing. If we don't talk about them tonight, it'll be another 2 weeks. Okay, I cannot make a motion to extend the meeting.
I'll make a motion, so move.
Second. Motion to extend meetings on the floor. Up for discussion. Counselor Randolph, is it for this one or for the other one?
It's for the other one. I'm sorry, the Ms. Pelham's motion, the first one.
Okay, I'll keep you in mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Via phone?
So what are we voting on now?
To extend it so we can at least address R3 and R4.
You're waiting for me?
No, I just answer your question.
Okay.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton,
No.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
No.
Counselor Randolph,
No.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton.
No.
All right, motion fails. If there's
I
no
make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
motion to adjourn has been put on the floor. Oh,
There's already a motion on the floor.
there is a motion on the floor. It was for Council Pelham's item. After she waited for the other two items we voted on. Now there's a motion on the floor, which is non-debatable. So roll call, please.
Okay.
Mayor Gore.
No.
Counselor Denton.
So what are we voting up for? Are we voting
Who made the motion?
on my motion or on
On
the
your okay, Council Denton, we're voting on your motion. Council Pelham had a motion on the floor, and then Council Randolph had her hand raised to add a question to discuss that item, and then you came out of left field and said a motion to adjourn. And motion to adjourn do not allow for discussion, so now we're voting on roll call to end the
You
meeting.
have a point of order and for an adjournment.
I thought that adjourned it.
You need a second, no discussion. It was never seconded.
I thought someone did second it.
I didn't hear a second.
Well, the meeting ends anyway.
The meeting is over.
9:31.
Goodness gracious. All right, guys, see you Thursday.
Meeting's not over till 9:31 clicks on.
See you.
Because it's 9:30 plus 59 seconds.
I don't know what she gonna get in this other 59 seconds because she put down the whole motion with her motion to adjourn. So I don't know what you trying to get.
That's what I would like to get, some understanding. That's exactly what
I understand. And Councilor Randolph, please keep in mind your questions so that way I can make sure it gets addressed so we pick back up on this.
Is the meeting adjourned while we still talking?
I don't know.